Robert Venditti and Michael Avon Emming take us back in time to Krypton, where Jor-El and his family are targeted by an extremist group who want to rid Kryptonian society of the scourge that is the House of El. Robert Venditti sets up his 6-issue thriller series set on Krypton that explores the years leading up to the planet's destruction. I quite enjoyed how much of a thriller this actually ended up being, seeing as I anticipated the story being focused solely on Jor-El's work to find a way to try and save the planet, and when he finds out he can't, a way to save his son. But I like that so far is the secondary B-plot to the big assassination plot, which sees Venditti pulling from all corners of the DC universe and bringing back a character called Jor-El, very obvious play on the word cruel, a House of El member created, I believe, in the 60s, and one we haven't seen for at least 20 to 22 years. I also love what he develops with General Zod this time round, making him a bit more of a complex character and one who is questioning his role as a soldier and what is the need for war. It's quite the interesting direction of the character, especially since we're used to him being sort of a villain and sort of all about war and wanting to bring war everywhere he goes. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he grows that over the course of the series. Michael Avon Emming lends his unique style to the series, giving Krypton a very distinct alien look that is a blend of all of the various iterations of the planet and culture we've seen in comics before. I love how many of the costumes also remind me of ancient Greek or ancient Rome, especially Zod's attire, which is almost this type of toga-like robe, which gives him a very warrior sort of look to him. World of Krypton issue 1 was a great setup to Robert Venditti's thriller series, building up to the inevitable destruction of the planet while also tackling an action and intrigue-packed story about the various houses of Krypton. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10. World of Krypton issue 1 finds Nira chronicle her 28th day in the Jewel Valley, not tiring of how the sunlight glints off the mountains. She doesn't get why the Thought Beasts have decided to settle there though, so far from their grazing plains, but perhaps there is some memory in the mountains they are attached to. Nira decides to go and greet the beasts that morning, but instead she finds a mass graveyard of all of the Thought Beasts, who have their last thought of that of Krypton's destruction. 3 weeks later in Kryptonopolis, Lara tells Jor-El to smile since they are going to see their niece at her naming ceremony and they haven't been to one in a long while. Jor-El doesn't feel comfortable out of his lab robe and Lara's reproach wasn't subtle, knowing that they both serve Krypton and it demands much from them and they barely have time to see to themselves, never mind a child like Lara wants. Lara knows that Jor-El was always the lazy one, ushering Jor to the party where they are welcomed by Zor-El and Allura, meeting baby Kara Zor-El for the first time. Soon Jor and Zor's cousin Jor-El arrives, with Zor surprised he accepted the invite as Crew congratulates him, knowing that he would never miss the first naming ceremony of their house's new generation. Actually surprised that Jor didn't beat Zor to it. Jor-El says that life isn't a race and they are elves, so to celebrate one is to celebrate them all. Crew says that his ambitions are a lot higher than his, but Jor knows that he will fall back to the ground eventually. Crew angrily takes his leave to go and see the Chancellor about his new proposal, as Zor knows Chancellor being there is why he showed up. General Zod soon arrives, meeting with Yells and revealing that he has retired from a life of conquering. Crew meanwhile tells the annoyed Chancellor that she won't want to miss out on this opportunity he's offering as he sees his cousins with Zod, taking his leave in anger. Jor meanwhile finds it surprising that Zod is retiring, but the General says that war isn't never ending like science, and ending it is the point, but since repelling the invasion of Daxam, there aren't any more fronts left out there in the galaxy. Jor finds himself troubled at the massacre of Daxam, knowing that some think it got too ugly. Zod knows they never have been able to stare down the barrel of a Dominion pulsar ray, having seen them atomize one of his battalions from orbit, never forgetting the taste of ozone and blood copper in the air. He and the Elves raise a glass to the fallen, to new life for Zod and for Krypton. Nira comes to see Jor, having come to the party to offer her blessings to Kara. She also wants to have a private word with Jor, telling him of the mass death of Thought Beasts she found and showing him the holograms of the grave sites. Jor wonders what killed them, thinking that it was tainted water or maybe even a strain of pox. But Nira performed an autopsy on some of them and found no toxin or traces of diseases, unsure of what actually did this. Jor sees her hesitation, asking her to speak her mind, so the woman says the beast simply stopped, and it's as though they gave up the will to live, wondering if it was a bellwether event. Jor wonders what thought this could be, so Nereus thinks that the beast were tuned to something that has slipped past all of their research. She apologizes for springing this on Jor at his niece's naming day, but Jor knows that they need to put their heads together and solve this. Jor is soon called up to the podium along with Zor, Allura, and Lara, congratulated by Nera, as in the crowd, Zod tells a woman complaining about the offspring bringing something to celebrate that it doesn't concern him anymore since he's retired. The woman says that one can take soldier out of the military, but not the military out of the soldiers. A guest tries to grab some food from one of the waiter's plates, but sees he has a gun as the assassins reveal themselves, calling for a free Krypton as Zod tackles one of them. There is an explosion at the podium as more assassins rush in, calling for the deaths of the House of El. They shoot some of the party guests as Zod shoots back, wanting to know where security is. Jor tells Zor and his family to stay down as he helps Zod take down one of the men, wrestling the gun from one of them as he refuses to surrender, saying that he won't turn until Jor, Zor, and their child are dead, since the House of El are rotted. Zor demands to know who sent the man as he accidentally shoots him, shocked that he killed someone. Another assassin catches Jor in his moment of grief, but Zod kills the man. In the aftermath, the rest of the elves are found safe and sound, and Jor demands to know where his wife is, finding Lara administering medical help to one of the men who was shot by the assassins, but the man dies. Jor consoles his wife, thanking Rao for Zod's intervention. He wonders where Zod has gone to, as Lara asks who would do this, since this isn't Krypton, and what Krypton has been for a long while. Jor thinks it's dissidents, if such things still exist, wondering what they are revolting against. Zod returns with a captive, saying that that's the wrong question, asking the man to think what would happen if Zor or Jor or Kara were killed. The man Zod dumps on the ground is revealed to be Cruel, saying the leadership of the House of El would fall to him if they were to die, and Cru is the one behind the assassination attempts.